Not a single one.
I am the greatest character of all time.
Right, excellent. Okay, with that gong, the draft has now started.
That's a great way to finish the draft, I'm just going to say.
You have both got 30 seconds to explain to me
that.
exactly what's going to be going on. We'll start with you, Rude Dude.
No Lysandras, banned away from Jinrei's, his best pick of the split so far. We expected this from Nativz, or a plan to counter it. It's just ban it away. That's the easiest way to counter a champion.
Yes. I mean, look at the... I mean, they get rid of the Nico as well. It didn't work out particularly well yesterday, but it was still... The idea was there, and the important thing is basically Jinrei, is he on a champion that can make picks or team fight? Preferably both, and preferably be the first person in, or at least one of the first persons in. He likes to have that kind of go button, and those are probably the two major ones in the game available in the mid lane, outside of an Annie, and I wonder whether Nativz just first pick it.
I mean, they could do. Okay. I'm not necessarily thinking that as much as a Vladdy sort of champion twist on the Milio is something that we've seen before, but this is an additional level of complexity to the fourth wall task. Not only is Jinrei going to have to pull out something that we're not really associating with him, he's going to have to do it against Vladdy, who, pound for pound, has been one of our best mid laners in the entire league.
His Yona yesterday was filthy. It was so good. He wanted to get 10 kills. It was into Yasuo as well, so it was even like a grudge match lore-wise, like beautiful stuff. You couldn't ask for anything more really on his side, and he is right up there as one of the best mid laners in the league, alongside someone like Niter. There's the Rel locked in, and I really feel like maybe getting an early rotation in something like this Annie for Jinrei might not be a bad idea here.
I want to see this Rel go jungle. I think the matchup versus Emilio sounds awful. Getting queued every time you try and engage seems like the worst thing as a Rel to try and experience. Now, of course, whether or not we see Yute pilot the Rel still remains to be seen. Again, I've been hyping up Emilio all day. I'm glad to see Twist has it. It pilots Den, or gives Den Voxnay options now to be a hyper carry player as well, just with even more range.
Obviously, Den Voxnay is a player who is known for his versatility more than anything. Like, the guy has things. Seraphine he can pull out in the bot lane. We've seen him on other crazy stuff as well. But often when he has been called upon to hard carry, he really has got those champions in the back pocket. Things like the Jinx, the Aphelios. He's very comfortable, very well known for that. And having Emilio in there enables not just him, but potentially someone like Vladdy as well if he goes to a pick, which can be facilitated with by that as well. Maybe looking at Nazir, which honestly isn't bad with a cozy campfire, frankly.
Yeah, you're sort of building yourself already a long-range composition that has tools to prevent you from engaging. The Azir not only able to DPS, but with the Emperor's Divide can get himself a little bit of safety, and this Poppy, whether it's going top, whether it is going jungle, is going to offer so much protection as well.
Also works very nicely, as you've already mentioned, right? It just works well versus Rel and LeBlanc. Everything that we're seeing drafted from Nativz, just scream once again, absorb their engagement and do your best. Fourth wall, just say, we've decided we're engaging, we're doubling down.
You can't stop all of us. And there is genuinely something to that. One of the ways around Poppy is just overload the amount of dashes. If you can only block one, if you can't block them all. And especially if you play out the fights well, it does take some execution, but if you time and stagger your engage just a little bit, Poppy doesn't have all the tools to do with it. Same with the Azir, you can't block all the dashes. Vi is unstoppable with VR. You do have ways now between Yute and Jinrei to really create a very deadly combo here between that mid jungle.
Going through into the second phase though, seeing Jinx ban actually away from Den Voxnay. Not really something that we see prioritized too much, but with that Milio, the long-range potential is there, and you need to respect the amount of damage that those rockets can do from that position. I do like that fourth wall are going into this very, very aggressive identity. We saw last game how if a LeBlanc gets fed off an early game jungler, she can completely take over the map.
Yeah, and I would like to see them still try and push for a very heavy pushing top laner as well. You got to try and make sure that you can play these mid-game situations with an advantage, and you have to do that through getting a lead in the top lane as well. It has to just be 3 winning lanes into dumpster everybody, because Nativ's composition already scales better, and that's just going to be a product of whatever AD carry ends up getting selected for them. They have superior scaling. Now, I like the Xayah as a denial pick, more so as a pick for their composition. It stops Den Voxnay being able to absorb that engage even further, and it also gives Ragnar just a little bit of insurance policy as a carry.
Yeah, and he has been a quiet carry on the side of fourth wall. Jinrei's has been the player making a load of the headlines, setting up his own churches before they get shut down very, very swiftly. But I think Ragnar has also come in and been a reliable damage source for this fourth wall side, and he's going to need to be a reliable damage source because then Voxnay on the Cogmore is something to behold.
Cogchamp.
That's huge, and we've seen hints of it. There was a point where people were thinking when Milio came out, this was going to be the pairing. It was a return of Juggernaut, just with a different look. And it didn't happen that much. We've kind of seen G2 being the one team to do that, but it's G2, a team that is so known for, and practically, like, arguably the most famous team in the world, for having some of those really unusual drafts that do succeed regardless of perhaps expectations. They've got a Poppy, they've got a Zir, they've got an Ornn, they've got a Milio. Getting to this backline of Nativz, getting to this Cogmore in particular, is easier said than done. You do, however, have a few tools to make that happen, and the Gwen into an Ornn does give Fi some agency to carry as well here, potentially.
I think it's actually been a fairly smart response from fourth wall in the second phase. We characterised their first 3 rotations as being very early game focused, but the Zyra is obviously going to scale well, and Gwen is going to offer that additional threat too. So whilst when we get into the hyper late stages, I feel like this fourth wall composition, if Jinray doesn't get super fed, is still going to be a 2 carry composition. Fundamentally, that's 1 more carry than we would necessarily otherwise expect, and it means that Nativz has to be super careful with their setup around team fights, because if you've got Fate, if you've got Jinray coming over from weird angles over these walls, getting on top of Den Voxnay, it's so difficult to protect him.
And Chimera, you can add that onto the list as well.
Yeah.
Because again, Die from the Rel, you can add Yute to that lineup as well. Die from the Vi. They all have good tools to get down onto this Cogmore, onto the Azir. There are only 2 carries solo out if you are fourth wall, and if you put all of your resources onto one of them, you're hoping that the other can come up chumps, but I think they've got enough tools to die onto both.
Adding the needlework, being able to pierce straight through the front line, you can't block that with any of the tools here. That's not being blocked by a Poppy W. That's not being blocked by an Ornn. It will pierce through, so if people are too close, or Gwen gets to start brawling along by finding a flank, getting the ghost, can still get pretty scary there. Of course, that's still easier said than done, because it is Nativz, arguably the best team in the league. They have got themselves 2 star players on some serious star carries if they can get rolling, and you feel like maybe they can do it. I also do want to shout out here, Jinray on a slightly different style of pick.
Yes.
It's not like a pick without agency. It's not like a pick that is entirely against his playstyle in terms of being a proactive playmaker, but it's not big AoE CC. It's not the Lissandra Nico kind of vibe. It's a little bit more selfish, I'd say.
Definitely more selfish. But it still does what we've highlighted for Jinrays, and it is make plays in a different facet instead.
Yes.
So it's not just go in, CC everybody. It's now isolate a key target, and when there's only 2 targets to isolate, makes your job both easier and harder at the same time, because typically that means that it's, okay, what I have to do is a lot clearer, but how I do it becomes more difficult.
I will say, like Jinray has been the talisman for this team. He's come in, and he's been a huge momentum swing for this team. They look so much more cohesive. They look so much more coordinated. They look like they want and know how they want to play the game, and that is going forward, being aggressive with that mid jungle, and actually being a proactive team, which is great to see. The problem is that it's come a little bit late in the split. I think it's fair to say they aren't the worst team in the league anymore. They pretty clearly were at points.
Yeah.
That's not true anymore. I just don't know whether they've got enough left in the tank to make playoffs, especially considering the mountains they have to climb. It would be a serious tasks of Hercules, trials of Hercules type effort to try and make their way into playoffs with the weight of games, the weight of schedule against them.
That is not wrong. I think we've said it about 70 different times at this point, but it is just the top 3 teams that they have to play against, and it's worth battering home again because it's the hardest competition to play against. Now, I've got word from production as well that they're just remaking the lobby, so we're going to be taking a little time as once again the podcast trio
let's go.
Have a little bit more entertainment focus, entertainment value once again, whilst we get the players back into a different lobby and remade up.
Yeah, and broadly across the board, I've been pretty happy with the excitement level that we've been getting out of the games today, in terms of the action that they've provided. Like, I think that they've been good games. I think so often you can get these matchups that we're expecting to be a little bit more one-sided, like Unique versus Verdant, that don't end up delivering. We got a banging game out of that. Domino versus Veneer was absolutely a treat to watch last time out on the Rift, and I think that with the aggression that Fourth Wall have got in their composition, there is an angle for them to make plays here.
That's fair. Did get a little note from our production, actually, who just went in our ears and went, by the way, I've got this cool interview with Twist, who's actually playing right now. That might be something we might want to see. I don't know. Production.
Yeah. Can we have a look at that?
Back to the NLC. My name is Wisa, and I am joined by the support player of Nativz, Twist. So, hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome. So, just like, again, now, how you're feeling about today's match? Do you think it's going to be a walkover? What's the feeling?
I mean, I think if we perform as we usually do, it should be. So I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk to you about your own like personal journey here, because the last split you were playing in the NFL on what probably could be perceived as like the worst team in the league. You did not necessarily have to have the best time. Now you're kind of in the team that some people would call the best team in the NLC. So how have that switch come from you going from being one of the worst teams to now being one of the best teams?
I mean, I think it's just like the players that we have are just a lot better and we work better together. And I think it's just easier. That's why we're able to be like #1 team.
Yeah. Also, another thing I want to talk to you about is the fact that you previously used to play mid lane. You had a brief stint as a jungler as well for Pig Sports, obviously, but but the transition from being a mid laner into a support player, we have a couple of those in the league and just in the league in general. But like, how has that transition been for you? Because now you've been playing support for around a year in competitive play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was maybe a bit hard at first, at least harder than I thought. But overall, I think I've had great coaches to work with that have helped me a lot. And now I feel like really comfortable.
So just to pivot back as the final question here for the last match of the day. You guys are going up against Fourth Wall, a team that's kind of gotten a bit of a second wind in that fight for a potential playoff spot here. What do you think is going to be like the key thing to look out for in terms of like what Fourth Wall brings to the table?
I mean, I think we just have to be wary of their strong picks and play around it and just play our style. I'm not too worried about any team in general. So I think, yeah, just play as we usually do and don't let our guard down.
So no Lysandra for Generators, is that what I'm hearing?
I won't spoil anything, you know, but we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Twist, and best of luck later.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great to hear from Twist there. You wouldn't know that he was a weeb just talking to him. He seems very well adjusted.
Seems normal. I think Rudude is significantly less well adjusted, really.
Yeah, I feel like that chuckle has revealed a lot about Rue that maybe we didn't
has.
necessarily know before.
I think it's revealed more about you guys than anything else. The slight prejudice that we're putting down onto people.
Hang on, remind me, when is morning for you right now? Go on, we'll do it. We'll do this. You go on.
I may have woken up. Okay, I may have woken up at 3 p.m. Okay.
Yeah, that's normal.
After 8 hours of good solid sleep.
Yeah, good solid sleep in the middle of the day, Rue, dude. What was it you messaged me 2 days ago? Just miracle fixed my sleep. Been getting up at like 3 p.m. with bed at like 7. Yesterday I just slept at 1 a.m. and it wasn't a nap. How's that going, bro?
Yeah, go on.
It's going badly. So to add Rudude lore, I just had a monster headache last night. Like, migraine hit real bad. So I just had to stay up.
Look,
because I couldn't.
On one hand, I'm sorry you had to suffer with that. On the other hand, it's ruining our narrative and the ability for us to throw you under the bus. So I'm going to have to cut that off there. Yeah, and
suffering.
Continue to,
It's
run
not.
You over. Yeah,
it's not what I'm after.
Yeah.
To be fair, I like the confidence coming out from Twist. I think earned, deserved confidence.
I thought you were talking about the confidence of Rue, dude.
I'm nothing if not.
That makes much more sense.
I will happily admit to my own flaws. Okay, quite happy
me trying to steer the desk in the direction of the game. No, we're gonna come right back.
The broadcast must be about me, folks. I am in the middle of the screen. I must be the center of attention. Thank you kindly.
I'll just move out of the way. Yeah,
just the wrong way.
The wrong way.
Last time
suffering in this
we tried to talk about Middlecott, he walked off camera. So
that's true.
Well, you started asking me personal questions about like childhood and trauma. I thought we were going to be talking about like what my favorite like way to have spaghetti is. You know?
What is your favorite way to have spaghetti? Yeah, go on, then. Go on.
I bet you're not
You've
ready,
done
are
this
you?
yourself.
You're not ready? You don't know what your favourite way to have spaghetti is, do you?
I'm a big
podcaster, honestly.
I'm a big carbonara enjoyer. I'm not going to lie. I know that's going to be music to veterans' ears.
Can you send some pictures on Twitter about how you cook it? Because I know you're really famous for your really high quality cooking.
All right. Okay, I said carbonara, not burgers. All right, let's not even get involved in that. All right.
Go Google that, guys. Go check on Middlecott's Twitter about his truly exceptional burgers. It's a great experience.
I mean,
it will make you.
The loss of the gamer moments list that Shakaros has been putting together. The fact that I even feature on that is genuinely, I feel like I'm a part of esports history. In that regard. Do we want to talk about the game, gents, or do we still want to talk about what you have for lunch or something?
Did we get a reason why we're not watching the game yet? If not, then I'm not too bothered. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, actually, I do want to shout out Shakaros. He brought some cake over for Naimera's birthday the other week, which was really lovely. He made very good chocolate cake. Chocolate cake was beautiful. It was the stuff that Yamato was raving about on Twitter and was like very, very complimentary. I probably can't say what he said on camera because it was very complimentary, but in a very graphic way. So go Google that was great, but it was very good cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
A bit of a.
This cake is so good that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You can fill in the blanks with
benefits for the cook and benefits for the person that gave it to him would be by and large my expectation. Are any of you here keen bakers?
Only in the sense that I enjoy eating good baked goods. I'm a chef.
I know.
Cook.
As soon as he started that sentence, I know that there was not going to be anything. You keen on baking? I like eating food.
It's my turn to be roasted, is it? It's my turn to be roasted.
Part of Voodoo branding for the last 2 years whilst I've been
is this the mixer?
I get to do this now.
Oh my word!
Oh yeah.
Well, hold on. Go back, Root.
No. We don't need to go back. There was nothing else there.
Don't look behind the grey curtain, because there's nothing to see.
Discreetly turned round labels there. I enjoy baking. I make really good cakes. So if we ever meet,
what kind of cakes do you make? Go on. I'll buy it. Go on.
Coconut cake, generally speaking, goes very well. I've done a nice chocolate orange cake in the past. I did a Jaffa cake for. Yeah. We used to do this thing in A-level chemistry called just Cake Friday. It's pretty simple. I thought you said
you make cakes in chemistry, and I was like, that's an unusual chemistry level. I feel like you might have chosen the wrong course there.
No, in our A-level class, we used to just have we just had a lesson every day, right? And on Fridays, we just used to bring cake in. So we used to have Cake Friday, which was quite cool. And I made one big Jaffa cake, which was like for the class.
What, so, like a full jacket, like a big.
I feel like the top of that's gonna wobble more than I'm comfortable with. Ooh. There's going to be a lot of jelly that wobbles there.
You're going to slap it.
Jelly on a cake. Jelly on a cake. Wibble, jelly on a cake.
It was normal,
great.
Let's say, cake diameter, but just a Jaffa cake made to scale. I don't think...
Standard cake diameter.
Never mind that. Like, what I want to know is, with this in mind, Rudid, now that you've made a Jaffa cake at cake scale, is a Jaffa cake a cake or like a cookie or a biscuit when it's kind of like your normal Jaffa cake, or is it still a cake?
I can't remember which way it goes. Basically, it either is or isn't based off of whether it's taxed, because a cake or a biscuit is different because one of them's a luxury, one of them's not, and I think biscuits aren't defined as a luxury, but cakes are, and there's like an extra added tax to the pricing on it. Based on
luxury.
Luxury. We're into the new now.
So we do have a little bit of an update from production, and we've been explicitly told that we're allowed to explain why. So I shall. We loaded.
Why?
We can't get into game yet.
That's actually how you go that. Go on.
I don't have the bars. You know, well, it's not really bars in that. It's lyrics.
Oh, you're quoting the rule book. It's not difficult, brother. Please.
I mean, Hamilton managed to make rhymes out of that, so I'm just saying it's doable. Let's get Lin-Manuel Miranda on the show. Anyway, sorry, Middlecott, go on. Maybe explain what's going on. We're off the rails
There's
again.
an official thing. We're all right to have fun, but there's a thing. I've got to read a statement. Right.
#ad. Sponsored.
What? Sponsored by someone loading the incorrect runes and forcing us to remake the game, because that's what's happened, guys.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to be able to jump back into game. nice and soon. Obviously, we want to make sure
we didn't get in the first place. It's just actually just into game.
Well, we were in, but then like I think we had to come out, and then someone tried to go in again, and they had the wrong runes. It's like
in out.
They are remaking now. They are remaking now. We've got 4 messages in production chat telling us that the teams are remaking. So it will happen.
Our producers can't be happy. We've just been like throwing off this very official meeting. But okay, throwing off me. I have been throwing off the official meeting. It's my fault.
I think we've been there every way. Fraser, we love you. Guys. You're brilliant. You're very, very good.
They have to put up with so much garbage when they have us on the show. Oh my
it's absolutely. It's like yesterday. Like Veteran was going.
Everything seems
mode.
so far away. I'm just gonna come with more.
Oh my! It's just unstoppable.
Tomorrow seems so far away. I know. I can't remember the lyrics.
He was dominating on GeoGuessr. Like I've seen like that stuff pop up on like YouTube, and my guy is like cracked at that. It's really insane. It's why I'm making sure that my window is out of shot in my webcam, so that he can't just learn my address.
I'm fortunate enough. I don't have I have 2 layers of window between me and the outside world. So you got to see a little window there. That also doesn't show you the outside world. That shows you more of my house.
Wow.
So you can't get an outside glance.
That's deep, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Cool story.
You've got a window inside your house.
I do have a window inside my house, yeah.
I love that Rudude is like really being artistic with this and like mirroring in a metaphorical sense his health by wearing 2 layers himself with the hoodie as well. That's incredibly deep. You don't really get the real Rudude until you get through multiple layers.
Took till game 4. Took till game 4.
Yeah, is it worth going through the layers though, guys? Is there actually that much in the center worth getting to? Is the question, because normally it's in bed till 3:30.
Oh my word!
So we have an update from production. There may or may not be another remake.
Oh, boy.
Judging by the length of the podcast, I'm going to let you guys at home decide.
Yeah, wrong runes again. Oh my words. Can we just ask them to use preset ones at this point? Like,
everybody has to use preset runes.
Everyone loads in with Arcane Comet and like Red Tree Secondary. Yeah. They've not got exactly what they want.
New NLC album dropping in hot. Wrong runes again. It's great. Who do we blame? Who's done it?
Yeah, no, I need a name at this point. If it's Fraser,
he's done it.
Is it the same
player? Are we allowed
player?
to say?
Is it the same player? Guys, you're not going to believe it.
It was you.
It's happened
You
again.
were the one who did it. But watch it be like an observer bug, and actually the runes have been right every time. And it's just.
Oh, I could. What? Every time you get on this broadcast, Sam?
True, genuinely true.
Yesterday was fine. We had no issues at all.
I just come in and bring chaos.
Update on who's to blame.
Everybody
has done it. Like, it's been different players at different matches. And I guess they've set the precedent that once we remake for one bad rune page, we gotta do it all the time. Everybody, yeah.
Just get everyone to load in with like Unsealed Swordbook or something. I don't know.
What we're gonna do, all right, guys? Maybe what we do is we just play Ultimate Bravery and just go. You know, take a guess and go.
Yes. What was the draft, guys?
I don't know. Hang on, screenshot? Can we scroll up?
We have got a screenshot, yes.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, that's it. All right, that's right, because it was the Cogmore Milio. Cogmore Milio, Azir, Poppy, Ornn for the side of Nativz, and on the other side it was Gwen, Viola Blanc, and then the Xayah and the Rel. So a lot more engage heavy for the side of Fourth Wall, a lot more backline artillery piece with some frontline for the side of Nativz.
And I feel like that fulfills our obligations to talk about the game.
Back to
the
hobbies.
So baking. So how long have you been baking? Like,
I would say Cake Friday started this. Shout out, Mr. Shortman, my chemistry teacher.
Shouldn't be shortbread, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's kind of
Shortman was also a very applicable name. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Lil Bro was Lil Bro, unfortunately.
Lil Bro was Lil Bro.
So unfortunately, small King Stan, Middlecott knows at 5'2".
5'2", a solid, reputable height.
Man.
I can't remember who this was.
This video, proving this.
It was Duckling. We gaslit Duckling into believing this as well. That was very funny last week. Duckling was like, "Is Middlecott actually short?"
There's another update.
There's a pause.
If my brother is listening, I need the cast to start the game button I gave him earlier. I need it back.
The best part about all this.
Bring it here.
What normally happens, right? Is people at home will mute the stream until like they think the game's gonna start.
No.
Yes!
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 We have gameplay. It's just standing around, but it's gameplay. It counts. They're clicking back
Oh
and
my
forth.
word! Oh, it's so
I've never been
exciting! I
more
love it. I
pleased to
miss.
see clicking back and forth.
Look how green it is.
The overlays are wrong. The overlays are wrong.
Ah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
no.
matter. Stop nitpicking, rude dude. Just look at it. You've got the river. It's beautiful and blue, and you've got the grass and it's green and all the trees.
Is that J-Real?
Oh, I
Just
think he
down the
might be
river?
somewhere on a canoe there. Oh,
I was just
fly.
like,
Walking into
What abilities he
Shikari
used?
at level 1. Obviously, the Gwen going to be able to
It's so
walk out.
exciting.
Oh, my word.
Do I need to be here? You're gonna play everything that happens this game.
Yeah,
Sheer starvation.
This is what.
I'm just gonna talk excitedly
This
about every
is
clip.
what gratitude sounds like. Okay, Rude. I remember back in the day
So
in like
gracious.
2013 when I was trying to play League of Legends on an old laptop that had a touchscreen and
Luxury.
not much else on it, like
Luxury.
2 RAM, but we're into game. Okay, just
2
appreciate
RAM?
it. 2 RAM.
Just 2 sheep in a
Just
computer
2
running on
sheep.
treadmills,
Oh,
giving you
yes.
power.
It was bad.
You didn't make that pun, I swear. It's a bit woolly at the best of times. Sheer stupidity.
Oh, dude, you can't have 3 in a row, man. Come
on.
on.
Stop
This
this now.
broadcast is just getting fleeced of all of its integrity at this point. Jesus.
Can't pull the wool over our
A
eyes.
lot of them. We're really gonna hit
And now
the
everybody
line.
remuted the stream even though the game started.
Deservedly so. Deservedly so.
Casters, stop
Oh.
talking about sheep.
I'm half Welsh. Maybe I'm giving a pass.
Well, I don't think you're allowed to do that, mate. We do have...
I deserve that. That's fair. That's fair.
We do have 1 RAM in the game as we desperately attempt to wrest this back to League of Legends. The
that's
subreddit
okay.
moderators would not be happy with what's going on in this cast at the moment. Shikari is going to be able to bring a load of engage options, but he is up against a Gwen who should be able to have a bit of a free time to scale in this lane.
I think that's fair to say. And often Gwen these days is picked into matchups where she does get that free time. She doesn't have that same laning dominance she did back at her release where she could start E and really abuse that kind of attack speed and attack range that she got at that point. She does need those matchups where she can kind of build those items into tanks, scale into tanks and feel happy about it. A lot of those other matchups are pretty rough for her these days, and that was a clean W from 5. But so far, decent advantage for Shikari. But obviously, as the game goes on, the Gwen gets increasingly better into the likes of the Ornn.
It's worth remembering as well that this Fourth Wall team has only actually been playing together for 5 game days.
That's an adorable skin.
So, like, as much as we can look at the 4 and 7 scoreline, this composition of players has actually done very well as a core together. Now, going up against Nativz, obviously their scoreline looks much better, and they've been a full 5-man heading into the whole split. But with Fi stepping into that top lane role, I feel like a lot of their successes came around his timer and about the time that Jinray stepped in as well. We know that Fourth Wall have been a very, very productive member of the Fourth Wall composition, and we get to see quite why as we're seeing some nice little trades there as well.
Lion's share of the lane pressure favouring Shikari and Vladdy for the time being, as Jinray is going to be able to get that shove back in the mid lane. Yute, the recall on the bottom side of the map, has already completed his full clear. Stefan taking a little bit longer to get through all his camps.
I think that's sometimes the way of Poppy as well. Not the fastest clearer, often drops camps to be shadowing lanes or looking for ganks anyway, so not the biggest deal ever. It is a relatively even state as it is, perhaps a slight lead to Jinrai, but it'll depend how many of these minions Vladdy picks up, and, you know, not too much to write home about right now, let's be real.
I do want to shout out Stefan at this point in the game for being one of the only junglers that I've seen this week for going for Blue Smite. Obviously, synergizes nicely with his Keystone as well. This is more movement speed oriented for the Poppy, so you can get in and get out quite quickly. You layer your full combo and then phase rush out to safety, as opposed to trying to be a tank with Aftershock that stays in that front line. And obviously the Blue Smite as well gives you more maneuverability once it's fully upgraded. Just getting move speed as you enter brushes means that he can be around the map a little bit faster than Ute maybe would have expected.
Yeah, and then we briefly saw Devoxy and Twist getting the shove down in the bottom lane. That is something that you can do with the Cogmore. He's very strong as the game gets later, but you pop the W, and that gives you a few seconds in lane where you're just longer range than the enemy AD carry, and hey, you're already doing a pretty decent job against the Zai in that regard. Do need to take care, though, on the side of Nativz, because come level 6, Ragnar and Chimera are going to have great ways of getting fights started.
So,
I'm about to say, we are seeing that the early clear from Utes led him to get towards this dragon. Nice early and fell dragon. That is honestly, today, where we've seen a lot of those dragons get taken more at the 10-11 minute mark. Nice early dragon, at least fourth wall, with a kind of early option with that win condition. Dragon number 2 spawning at 10 minutes. Herald spawning in a couple of minutes as well. And potentially you can start to snowball those objectives nice and early before the likes of the Azir and the Cobble coming like, oh, Vladdy, that's rough.
a little bit clean, though, with the swoop to get out to safety. I do want to mention that this Drake take is as a product of how Nativz have been playing that bot lane. Voxnay has actually taken 2 recalls already. This is just the one for Ragnar. Went back to base and got boots very early on into the lane, then went back and built boots too, and which did obviously give fourth wall a window to first off match the base, and then second of all take that Drake. So
Stefan,
this is a tricky spot. Okay,
Gets away with it.
risky recall, but Jinray gets away with it.
Wouldn't have gone away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling jungler. But this time the jungler didn't get involved, so does get
He
away
wasn't
with it.
meddling.
Yeah, he didn't meddle.
emphatically,
if he had meddled.
In fact, he
Maybe.
did get away with it as well.
Yeah, he did, exactly.
no meddling going down. You'd say extending the CS lead in the jungle a fair bit, actually, as Stefan is going to be moving over to his red buff, and fourth wall have been able to get a fair bit of damage down into the bottom blue side jungle, so wherever Stefan's going to be going on that part of the map, they're going to know where it is. Vladdy actually getting played onto, you take with the ult. I'm not sure they're going to be able to pick up a kill here. Double chains do land, 30% HP for the Azir, and if he gets forced out of lane, no TP to get back.
Anyone else think that those chains look longer than any of the chains that you've seen before in your life? Just me.
Welcome to LeBlanc. I mean, also, serious credit over to you for, like, that's just really frustrating for time for Vladdy, who then has to be forced the flash because his dash got interrupted. That is great news, and burning the flash off the Azir, making sure that the LeBlanc can still have pressure is great news if you're a fourth wall fan. It's great news for Jinrai, who is on a slightly different champion, slightly different style of champion this time around, in that LeBlanc, and still looking like a pretty confident, competent player, and a focal point for the team early on in this game.
I want to highlight as well how well this bot lane is going for Nativz now. When you're seeing these engager style supports versus the enchanters, the notion is that you should be able to have a decent time in the laning phase just because you can force and threaten all-ins. If they don't happen, it is just really high power scaling over to your enchanter, who is going to provide you much more in a late game setup, and giving the advantage over to them early, definitely no mean feat.
Oh, Shikari looking for something in the top lane onto Faye, but I do just want to quickly shout out something that Jinray's did there, using the Kirche shard, auto extra damage onto Vladdy. It's really easy to waste that bonus damage on a minion, but it's not insignificant. If you can get 2-3 of those autos going down in terms of the laning phase, that damage can really stack up. Nativz looking for a play around the Herald, but fourth wall here to contest and not going to be able to steal it away with the Keeper's Verdict. Knocking it back, you take Stefan. He's going to claim the dragon. He might be able to get a kill on Faye as well, as the Gwen has overstepped.
Oh, nice.
And it's first blood for Vladdy. You've got to watch out for Jinray as he's on the backside, and Shikari is left on his lonesome. Ragnar's going to get one back.
Alas, we knew thee well.
Now they did get the they did get the Herald, so they get the gold for it, but they don't get any gold from any turrets being charged down. Again, worth mentioning that all this time, it's time for Voxnay to scale. He bought a cull off of his first purchase off the platform. Like literally, he spawned into the game, purchased a cull, and then he's just been free stacking ever since. He's now picked up 3 plates down on this bot side, and yes, Ragnar got himself a kill. That kill does not offset 3 turret platings and an extra 88 gold that he's got so far from that cull.
Nativz slower in the early game than I think that we've seen from a couple of teams today, and that makes a lot of sense when you've got the strength of scaling that they do have on their roster. The Ornn is going to be incredibly tanky as we get later in the Azir. Cogmore also able to deal that damage. Looking at fourth wall though, how do we feel about their scaling in that regard? Because this Gwen not really having the most fun in terms of this laning phase, and Ragnar already down against the Cogmore.
So it is important to remember, right? Draft feels like an eternity ago, but we said this fourth wall composition needs to snowball, wants to be ahead heading into a mid-game situation, because otherwise they get outscaled. Nativz have drafted outscale from the get-go with the Azir, with the Kog'Maw, and the Milio as well. Now, it just makes fourth wall's timing a little bit shorter. They want to be making plays, I would say, within the next 5-10 minutes, or they will simply get outmaneuvered on the map and get outscaled later on.
And I'll give some credit to fourth wall for starting that dragon early with that in mind, because it does mean 13 seconds until Drake 2, which would be a big deal. It's not going to be an Infernal Drake, that was Drake 1, so it's likely one of the newer Drakes that sometimes bug out the spectator a little bit. Either way, it is a good start on that front, and honestly, on the other side for Nativz, the fact that they did go 1-for-1, get first blood, and trade for the Herald even if they didn't get it, kind of stops that objective small wall a little bit as well on the side of fourth wall.
Shikari is just dumpstering this top lane matchup, right? Remember, Faye had counter pick, decided that he wanted this Gwen matchup. Shikari says, yeah, cool, I'm winning, don't care.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm just going to double check again. Like, what is... I feel like I remember, like, Shikari's KDA this split being absolutely insane. Like, he's on, like, 11 KDA right now this split, which is pretty nuts for a top laner.
Oh,
I don't know where Stefan's aiming at. Oh, teleport into the pit. Nativz actually want to contest it. Flashes in, but Yute gets the smite down, gets the objectives, and it looks like fourth wall are going to get the fight. Wagner pulls the feathers back. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Twist locked in the pit with Desire Faye, also making his way in. Jimmy gets over the wall, but he's got low mana. Voxnay still on full HP, dodging away from the needlework. Faye just about getting out of there. Nativ's going to be disappointed they didn't get anyone off the fourth wall side, but fourth wall glad to get out with the dragon.
Look where Gwen is. Can they actually get the recall off? They've got to find somewhere to hide and recall. Oh no, trying to execute now. Should be fine.
Okay, so smart play from Faye there, recognizing that he's either going to give over gold or not. Dying is somewhat a consequence of his positioning, but he's still sacking a lot of time here with that death. It's going to be time that Shikari gets back to the laning phase. No TP for this Gwen, remember. And Voxnay now, you can see just quite emboldened by the W plus the cozy campfire. Do you want to sort of look back at that team fight though, because Vladdy wasn't actually a part of it. The Azir was sort of trapped in the mid lane, and it comes off of Jinrei's bullying him out. The Azir's HP bar was very low throughout the entirety of that fight, and he wasn't a part of it at all. It all come from those mid lane trades, and you can see he's getting landlocked into this laning phase. It means that Jinrei's is going to get another great base timing, open up again another advantage for himself versus what is a very, very touted mid laner in the league.
And hey, whilst Voxnay is doing very well for himself on the Kog'Maw, Ragnar's also been able to get a couple kills for himself too. It's not equalized the gold difference in the bottom lane, but it does keep him within touching distance, and a misstep in a team fight is probably worth a bit more than 1,000 gold. So Voxnay is going to have to be keeping a very good eye on his positioning, because if you overstep versus fourth wall, they've got so many ways of completely destroying you.
Yeah, I think, I do want to really give credit over to the side of Jinrai as well. We have been talking about a little bit there, as Mudu was calling out. Look, this is against one of the best mid laners in the league, right up there with particularly the likes of Nita, one of the absolute best in the league. And we still haven't entirely got the read of Jinrai. I've not seen that many games from the guy. He's been really instrumental in most of their recent wins, but it's been on a particular style as, okay, Barrage, and he takes Ragnar out, flipping heck. Right, I wasn't about to, okay, never mind, we'll talk about Jinrai another time.
You'd say has the Q, charging it up, fires it into the face of Voxnay, but as Twist comes over, the turnaround potential from the Kog'Maw Milio duo is disgusting. Yute is going to sacrifice himself for the cause, but Chimera still looks likely to fall down. Stefan has so much CC, but the Rel has enough to get her out.
Milio Gaming, everybody. This champion, not okay. You've got a couple days before the patch comes through. Pick this champ.
Hey, all landing on the top side. This is what the Gwen can do, but Shikari has looked very strong in terms of the laning phase. Jeremy going over the wall to jump on top of Vladdy. The soldiers' autos evening up the trade in terms of damage, but it's all about this bottom lane for Nativz at the moment. First turret gold on a Kog'Maw.
We have to remember
that.
There's a lot of dive. There's a lot of dive for fourth wall. And their target selection, it may be difficult to get through the front line, but if they can get onto Voxnay, it makes their team fighting a lot better to take down the Kog'Maw. And the fact that he's actually so far ahead makes their decision-making even a bit easier, as though, okay, was it Vladdy? Was it Voxnay? It has to be Voxnay for the time being.
It does, but... And I agree the dive tools are there, but Nativz have tools to defend as well, because it's not like Voxnay is going to be without his own slight tankiness, going for the Blade of the Ruin King, all of that kind of option. He's got so many tools to try and disengage us. Herald's being started, and unfortunately, once
It's
more,
us.
it is us.
Yeah,
Gameplay was only a brief
demand.
respite from the podcast. Time to
15
talk
minutes.
about baking again, boys.
15 minutes of League of Legends, 2 hour podcast. That's roughly the
All right, so
ratio.
it's yeah.
Baking or maybe what Nativz are cooking in this game. We've got 2 options in terms of
Yeah.
what we could talk about.
I prefer the
Can you
latter,
smell
I
what the
think.
cog is
I
cooking?
think we'll stay a little bit game focused for the time being, because we've talked about how Fourth Wall have few scaling options, but fundamentally their comp wants to accelerate out of this early game. We're around about 15 minutes in, and they haven't done that. They've been able to pick up a couple of objectives, but Nativz are in control of the gold lead, and if past performances are any indication, that means that the team that's already won 9 times is probably going to be able to grab their 10th.
And I think that looking overall, like at I mean, we've already highlighted it. The fact that there's still a lot of scaling on their side, the fact that the lead is not astronomical by any means for Fourth Wall just leads us down this road of Nativz taking their 10th win. Now, again, to talk about the standings as a whole, Fourth Wall being out of that sort of big mishmash for teams that are tied for playoffs would make it quite difficult for them. Also, the fact that Nativz are just trying to go blow for blow with Verdant in the hopes that Verdant slip up and that they can take first place back. Obviously, quite something that they're looking forward to, because side selection for that juggernaut match when we get into playoffs going to prove to be quite important as to whether or not you have to battle your way through on a lower bracket run.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Fourth Wall are blessed by the fact that Nord slipped up earlier today. That's a big deal. Of course, on the other side, Nativz kicking, unique, I suppose, for not quite finishing the game against Verdant when it got so desperately close, because that would have meant the Nativz could take that first place spot a lot more cleanly. That's still not it's still a possibility, but it's a lot harder. They need Verdant to drop a game, which is a possibility. But either way, to keep that pressure up, they want this game win. And they're taking it slower. They're taking it a bit more reserved. But Voxnay on Cogmore, as we've said, got to the first item, got first turret blood. He's got a Milio behind him as well, so it's already hard to get to him. He'll likely be running some of those supportive items, like potentially Mikhail's, all these other things, to make sure that, yes, you can dive the Cogmore, but can you actually do enough damage to kill him? And in doing so, do you have enough health bar left to deal with, the Azir, who isn't exactly going to be a slouch the later the game goes?
And I think this is the thing that's really scary about Nativz, right? Is that potentially they're going to be fighting at Fourth Wall and winning it.
Oh, no.
Stefan getting on top of Yute, and the range damage from Voxnay is disgusting. Ragnar lets the feathers fly to keep himself alive. Nativz find the pick with the fight.
Look who got the kills as well. It's Cogmore who's got 2 kills now. You've got a kill on the Azir, 4 assists on the Millie. You're feeling very happy about how this game is going so far in a lot of ways. Yes, the game is still even-ish. There's still 2 dragons to Fourth Wall. They're up 2,000 gold. They've got a pretty healthy position to work this game from.
And I really want to call out the Shirelias as well for Twist. If we end up seeing Yute press the ult on Voxnay, between Shirelias, Ghost, and potential flashes for DV as well, you can buy a lot of space that pulls the Vi into an isolated situation. Yes, Chimera can follow up, but that range is limited on the Rel. She can't also go a bajillion miles an hour and then find her engagement as well. Making that space discrepancy between the 2 teams in a team fight scenario is going to be quite important for Nativz.
And that just emphasizes the need for Fourth Wall to find flanks and to find angles that Nativz aren't anticipating. Because it's all very good popping the Shirelias and running in one direction, but if that's straight into Yute or straight into Jimmy or straight into Faye, he's already completed, well, he's got his first item on the Gwen, rapidly approaching his second. Then it's going to feel bad for you. Fourth Wall setting up around the Dragon. This would be Soul Point if they could get it, but it's going to be a mighty tough task.
Keep your eyes on camera. He could look for a flank yet, and remember there is still the teleport on Fi. He could still come down here. Vladdy is the one who has to go to the other side. It means the Azir soldiers aren't going to be set up before this Dragon, but Nativz forced back towards the mid lane to deal with this Herald that does secure tower in mid lane.
Vladdy just solo killed Faye.
Oh, never mind.
Can TP as well to this fight. It's going to recall spend that gold. Drake starting. Stefan's got Poppycopter. This is just Nativz taking this.
And, well, it's the Gwen that you sort of pick for the side lane pressure. The fact that she's dying in that situation, very, very rough. Good for Vladdy, and worst case scenario almost for Fourth Wall, because you were using these Drakes as a way to bolster the fact that you're not scaling as hard into this game and missing out on the opportunity to go for a soul in 5 minutes. sucks. They're still trying to engineer flanks, but Chimera is going to get caught out, shoved back with the Emperor's Divide. As Fourth Wall still going to be committing to the fight, though. Shikari with the first kill. They are desperately attempted to get on devoxD2, and they have succeeded. It's a double kill for Ragnar. Faye dancing in the backline against Vladdy. Jinray also on top of the Azir. Just one more hit with the Auto Deception. And the LeBlanc is able to get the kill. Fourth Wall. It's an extended 3 for 3, but considering the way that this game was going, they're going to be so happy with that.
Out of nowhere, Ragnar is now 4-1-1. That is a massive deal, and like there was some shutdowns to be considering claiming there as well. That is a big deal. Yes, the gold's still just about in the favor of Nativz. Yes, they didn't get the dragon, but at least we're showing they've got some teeth and they can still look to play in this game.
Good signs of life, right? Giving what for their Fourth Wall and making sure that they're not just a team that are going to slowly bleed out this game. You know, lose one trade, handshake your Nexus type situation. Fourth Wall making sure that they are biting back. And whilst that top side of the Rift may not have looked so good early on, they've still got two very powerful carries in Ragnar, in Jinray, who are making the most of their gold.
And they have now got all the outer turrets. I think that's what Fight traded his life for up in the top side, getting Vladdy. So it wasn't just him taking a 1v1 and losing. There was a tower involved too. The Herald claimed the tower in bot lane, or sorry, mid lane rather. So actually that has helped kill Fourth Wall in the game, and now it's a little harder for the Cogmore to remain safe. You're not in these shorter lanes. They are extended, and there is some room now when you have got a Vi and a LeBlanc and a Rel to start invading into these jungles and making voxD's life that little bit trickier in terms of where and how he is getting to this farm.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what we saw at that dragon fight, right? It was Jinray on that Raptor pit, and yes, Chimera got engaged onto so easily in the middle lane, but the fact that Fourth Wall were able to turn it around and find something decent from that is a great sign. And now Jinray, couple of items for himself, couple of items for Ragnar there, staying at parity with their opposite numbers, and that's as much as you can ask from Fourth Wall at this point.
Aside from breaking it.
I'm gonna break the analysis wall at the minute. That Cogmore recall, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And shout out, oh my god, Super Cone.
Ooh, Vladdy gonna get caught out by the cease and desist. Ragnar pulls the feathers back, and Nativz, they're scrambling in their own jungle. Mid lane are falling down, and guys, Baron spawning in 5 seconds. Are Fourth Wall gonna go for this?
Chemtech Rift, what an enabler that has been so far this game. 2 Super Cones just finding fights out of nowhere.
Got it.
I think Stefan's alive. This shouldn't be a formality for Fourth Wall. They need to fight their way through this.
And they're going to try and do their best. Can they get over in time is the question. Teleport's coming through. This is going to be a contest. It's down pretty low.
Fourth Wall go for the turn, and they are punished for it. A little bit over-aggressive from Chimera. And the Baron attempt will be disastrous. Faye still providing damage to Stipster, but misses with the scissors. Still able to take out Stefan. Running for the hills from himself. It is not clean by any means from Fourth Wall. They miss out on the attempt at the Baron, but they don't lose enough that Nativz can start it up themselves.
Critically, they killed Poppy. Stefan dying meant there was no smite, because at that point you've got a Cogmore at 2 items and an Azir. Back on that recoil, it's so adorable. The point remains that if they had managed to kill off, win that fight and keep Stefan alive, you could see that they would then have that opportunity to turn for the Baron, especially considering these days Baron isn't all that tanky, especially to 2-item AD carries with the changes to AD carry and the durability patch, meaning you're not as at threat from Baron earlier on into the game. Baron disappears very early on if you're left alone with it.
Almost 3 items being picked up for voxD2 as well, working his way towards that wit's end. Just very good itemization versus Gwen versus LeBlanc, giving you the Hearthbound Axe as well, which means that your extra movement speed on every auto attack just goes insane for this site of composition.
Yeah. And we're kind of seeing at this point as well, sort of how both of these comps are wanting to play. Like, can you get to voxD2? Yes or no? Can you get to the Azir? Yes or no? You've got the Pictals, you've got the outer map turrets down. Can Nativz kind of protect themselves, protect their carries from those potentially dangerous engages? And now looking for one, Fi on the flank.
But ultimately, it's going to get pushed away. Not having to use the teleport there on the side of it. It's actually Vladdy rejoining the play. So Nativz not going to be able to respond to any side lane action if Fourth Wall want to get going with that. And considering that this Gwen starting to scale up a little bit more, that's a playstyle that they can opt towards.
We're looking for smoke and mirrors trickery from Jinrays.
Yeah.
He's got a real big mantle on his shoulders this game to make this matchup difficult for Nativz. This is on a Scuttle Crab. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that they know this.
Nativz just want the Phalanx. They want the 5v5 where they're not having to worry about being off vision, being in a difficult position with flanks. They're going for this. I don't know how easy it's going to be to stop.
Oh my word, the damage that Denvox they can put out. Jinray just trying to poke, but he's not able to. Faye going in, but he's a little bit isolated, and Nativz turn on him in an instant. And Ragnar is punished for his own over-aggression. Yute gets the cease and desist into the backline, but he'll just feed another kill over. And Fourth Wall desperately attempts to get onto the backline of Nativz, and they just can't. Denvoxnate is alive. Jinray, the only one left, but he can't take out the Cogmore.
And I love the theory. They pile in onto Twist, try and take down the Enchanter who's been keeping Denvoxnate alive. Unfortunately, they don't have enough tools in the back pocket. If you focus Milio, it means Denvoxnate Vladdy are free firing the entire time, and a 4 members standing Fourth or Nativz are just going to walk handily into the Drake fight.
That was the issue with the comp from Fourth Wall. If you are going into a Phalanx where everything is known, where you're down some of those key engage tools, it is so much harder to deal with the carries of Nativz. Look at the inventory now. There is a upgraded Rage Blade, and the Seething Sorrow is in. Thank you very much, production. You've got 2 items on the Azir. You've just got Baron. You can stall that soul point again. Nativz on the up and up, looking commandingly in the lead now in this game.
And I think a key player to highlight there was Denvoxnate. Yes, we've been talking about the Cogmore oh so much, but the fact that he's playing towards these flanks when Fourth Wall are trying to get them. You saw Jinray trying to poke with the Q, trying to poke with the W, trying to get in and get some damage down. But at this point in the game, you are outranged by the Cogmore, and you're probably out DPS by him too.
He's turning and facing every single time. As soon as somebody steps up to try and posit a threat, they just say, okay, Cozy Campfire plus Cogmore W. I'm happy to start taking trades with you. Are you going to fight back? Because if you use your dash towards me, you can't use it away and then you die.
I mean, that's the way of Cogmore, right? Whenever he has W active, he's the strongest champion in the game for about 8 seconds. Add in a Cozy Campfire, and he is monstrously difficult to deal with. The difference between this comp and something like an old school Juggernaut is it's not just the Cogmore you have to rely on. Vladdy is there at 2 items as well. He's got a stopwatch, he's got a death cap, and that Leandries. He is a threat by himself, and that does mean that Fourth Wall have got to be a lot more opportunistic about the picks they find and trying to play off some of those pockets of vision, trying to catch someone in rotation rather than these straight 5v5s. It's a lot harder for them there.
Yute setting up the defensive soldier just in case, may have to seed this tier 2 turret, and I don't think that he particularly cares. His team have got Baron, they're getting a lot of gold by forcing turrets down on this top side, and they're ultimately going to be winning out on this push.
I think that's the key thing, right? Nativz hadn't really extended the map too much more before they've taken this Baron, so a load of standing gold available for them to grab. I like what Fourth Wall are doing in response, though. Faye able to pick up the bot lane at tier 2, and they're able to take down the mid lane tier 2. Actually, they've won out on this tower trade.
Yeah, you take that. Yeah, no. Gwen's gone proto build, by the way. I've not seen that build in a hot minute.
I like this,
I
though.
apologize. Oh, go on. Justify it, because it's a bit weird.
Well, even with Ghost, Fi's been struggling to get access to that backline, right? Yeah. Proto Belt is that extra gap closer. It's the Gale Force for AP champions, and if you want to get access to a Cogmore, more mobility and more access there, it seems to make the difference, because the other option is usually Riftmaker, and Gwens aren't typically bound by getting the Riftmaker super early on, right, as a mythic option. You frequently see things like the Nash's 2 Shadow Flame, right? Flat AP just works really well, and opting into a Proto Belt for more utilities definitely adds up on my book.
I will raise you Wit's End on Cogmore.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we're agreeing here. The Cogmore is being mobile, so the Gwen needs more mobility.
Well,
desperately very, very disgusting. Nativz finally going to be able to take down this tier 1 tower. First round of the game, not resulting in too much taken for themselves. Fourth Wall keeping themselves relevant. 3 items now for Jinrays. Ragnar scaling up as well. Again, until Nativz end this game, it is not over, and all it takes is one good team fight for Fourth Wall, and they are right back in it.
just look at Jinrai's inventory, right? He's at 3 items as well. Night Halves to Static Shiv, Void Staff. He's going to be a pretty obnoxious person to deal with. You're not far off 3 items to Ragnar, who's going to be scary as well. The Gwen is coming increasingly online. For all that it's a slightly more interesting build. We just maybe we'll see whether it's online enough right now.
Yeah, because it's not a 1v1, it's a 1v4. And that, well, it ends with Shikari getting the kill, but I feel like the rest of Natives have more say in that than Faye would have liked.
Does feel a little awkward. The timing on that just completely off as well. Usually you want to go for those types of plays. If you can get something on the other side of the map, we look top, we look mid. There are literally no turrets in the lanes for Fourth Wall to take. So quite a disparity between what could be achieved and what Faye thought could be achieved there. Important to note though, I mean Fourth Wall have got 6 turrets versus Natives is 3.
I know. And part of that is Faye perhaps over pushing for them, but it's worked successfully. You've got a LeBlanc on the other side doing a bit of that. I will also say, I just saw Faye buy that Zhonya's. I think the reason he was there and fighting was he was greeding for the gold for Zhonya's. Was greeding still, but the item's complete.
Or
and,
was he greeding for the 2 control wards?
I mean, both, let's be real. Vision control wins games, as we know, and spending an inordinate amount of gold on control wards is absolutely the right thing to do in every game.
So all of our carries essentially have hit three items, right? Yes. Azir, Kog'Maw, Xayah, LeBlanc, Gwen are all on their 3-item spike. Now we're looking down to how these comps are going to be interacting. Once again, it is, can Fourth Wall find access to that backline? Are they able to get on top of Voxnay and Vladdy? Because these 2 champions shred, right? Late game as an Azir, late game as a Kog'Maw, very difficult to find champions that out DPS you. You rely on CC from Fourth Wall to take them down.
I'll offer another option for Fourth Wall here as well. They obviously stopped Natives getting some dragon stacking early on by getting a couple of their own, and now they've got a LeBlanc and a Gwen that are not going to be the easiest to deal with on the sideline at 3 items. You can see, we just saw observers pan over Jinrai, who's shoving in that bot lane, gets it towards that inhibitor turret, and yes, you've got an Azir, yes, you've got an Ornn, you'll be able to clear away, but I don't think they'll be able to stop either of those carries. Third dragon still goes the way of Natives.
Yeah, and whilst this is Dragon's Soul Point, it is Chemtech Drake, so you've got maybe a little bit less value placed on it. But honestly, Fourth Wall just weren't in a position to contest, and I think getting pressure around the Baron makes a lot more sense. This is going to give them a load of gold if they can take it, a load of pushing power, but Natives are moving over.
Timing's just a little off, though. They've got double TPs, the Drake's already been secured. Fourth Wall didn't have the window to start this up at the same time, and with 3 items on their carries, can they get in?
Here comes the cease and assist onto Voxnay. The Kog'Maw needs to stay alive for Natives to have a chance at this fight, and he's doing absolutely fine. Ragnar on the other side fighting up against the top side of Natives, and then Voxnay forces back Fourth Wall.
It's the jungler that goes down. Baron now firmly on the cards. TP into the bot side. I like this from Faye. Split the decision. Make Natives need to make a choice here. It's either a 4v4 or bust.
Oh, Chimera is busted open by Voxnay. The armor on the horse providing nothing at all, and Jinrai can only offer poke as Natives will claim the Baron, get their resets in, trying to interrupt those, but Vladdy flashing!
Shit, can't make it work. And, you know, I will give some credit there. I saw what Cameron was trying to do with stopping Shikari's back, which means Faye does at least claim that inhibitor turret. It comes at the cost of his life. Baron still goes over. Natives largely happy with the trade, but at least Fourth Wall do find a consolation prize in that turret.
Baron going over to Natives now is expected to be the time where they start taking these turrets. They tried to make a trade with their last Baron and it really didn't go well. You know, if it goes poorly this time, then it ends up being an inhibitor that it costs them. But they've got a lot of turrets outside the base still to work on. They've got 3-4 items almost. Oh my word! And I've just seen what Voxnay's built.
Yes. I think all of us have gone. Voxnay's just got an Anathema's chase. Obviously, great item for the Kog'Maw. You don't need much more damage than the 3 items that you're going to be picking up provide to you, and it means that if Jinrai, if they are trying to go for an assassination, if they've got the active from those Anathema's chains on them, it's so much harder for them to do that.
I mean, look, its health, its ability helps. You obviously give you some tenacity stuff. You know, you have got ways to benefit off that, and it makes it so much harder for him to die. I assume it's just going to be on the Vi, right?
That was one of the grossest demolish procs I've ever seen. Coming out from Shikari, just doing half of the tower's HPs. Calls the Forge God. A little bit of space for Natives to hit on this in heaven. Fourth Wall, they recognize that there's nothing they can do to stop the push.
Anathemas is on the Xayah, by the way, so it's just if Ragnar is ever in range, then he just always loses that duel. That's what that basically says.
Right. I wonder whether it'd be on the Vi, because the Vi would be going for his head, and that tenacity and the increased damage reduction would be really nice, but I think obviously that the Xayah being perhaps the true damage threat makes some sense there.
My point, I think, is that Vi isn't out-damaging the Milio shields, let alone out-damaging the Cogmore.
That is a very valuable point, and I take that as an absolute example. Maybe earlier on in the game would have been more valuable.
Yeah,
but why
yeah,
would you
that's
build
fair.
Anathema's second?
Yeah, no, I'm not going Anathema's second on Cogmore. That's a little bit too spicy for me.
Is he going Titanic last item, though?
They got the belt in.
So I thought that was what was in the works previously, and obviously it's turned into this Anathemas, but Titanic on 5 seems like just the happy medium of damage plus durability.
It could be Randuin's, I suppose, is the other option if he really wants tankiness.
It's just...
Demonic Embrace to pair up with the Rage Blade
Oh
AP
my
scaling.
word.
Let's go.
No, we're not having AP Cogmore and AD Cogmore in the same game, okay? I'm not okay with that.
Hybrid.
Fourth wall.
Here they
Gonna
go.
go for a last gasp engage. They're finding it onto Voxnay, but he is still going forward. Gonna get locked down, but Faye is in range. He just keeps kiting. Finally gonna get taken down, but Vladdy gets a triple kill. Yeah, you've killed the Cogmore, but the Azir can clean up. Jinray will dash away as he desperately attempts to prevent the Pence from being donated, but Vladdy will take him out.
It's done in style. I thought when Staffan knocked Fi on top of Voxnay, there was a moment where Fourth Wall could come back, and Vladdy says, absolutely bloody not. What a pentakill to end the game, and Nativz will tie it with Verdant.
Easy as you like. Fourth Wall pushed them hard. But at the end of the day, it is a win for Nativz. It is a pentakill for Vladdy. They put themselves to 10 wins and keep up the pressure on Verdant.
Well, a close, honestly,